tendency to reduce ethnic culture to tourist appeal, song and dance act, trinkets that can be sold, kind of break it down to those kind of simple elements of the culture and kind of ignore everything that knits them together as a social group and all, you know, the more important stuff, really. And also the tendency to say, okay, tourists, especially foreign tourists, are interested in what's different about this region, so they want to see ethnic minority culture. Let's set aside a place and build it specially where we can display ethnic minority culture, but really, again, only in those most simple terms and with a total lack of authenticity. And Urumqi is one case and Kashgar is another. Actually knocking down existing ethnic neighbourhoods to set up the sort of Disneyland version of the safe and sanitised, you know, aspects of the culture, and not consulting the locals, just do it paternalistic. I mean, actually, I would say that there is an attitude towards China's own past there as well. It's the same. Shanghai's old city, which is there, I was very fond of, and they've knocked most of it down now. And I was there a couple of years ago, and they just flattened another lot of old 19th century housing and put up a fake Qing dynasty wall, as if we need another of those in Shanghai. And there were posters in the windows celebrating this thing going up. And they said, never the same again, as this was a great thing, but it actually is. Historic stuff gone for good. But I think there is a particularly strong tendency to do that in the ethnic minority areas. And when you do go around the Ardouchar Market neighbourhood, it's visibly shrinking. The development is moving in on it. Sort of circled around and walked a little bit north of the neighbourhood, came to Main Road, and opposite it was just one of these massive construction sites. Giant holes in the ground. There's clearly going to be a big shiny tower of some description. So it's being moved in on. You've got the old Ardouchar Market on one side of Liberation Road, and on the other side you've got the Disney version, which I'll show you in a minute. Monument to Uyghur-Han Friendship. It was so funny because I recognised it on the news in the footage, but there were a double row of Chinese armed police in front of the Monument to Uyghur-Han Friendship, which kind of killed the mood a little bit, I would have thought. Indoor markets, a Carrefour supermarket, there's a KFC, and a theatre for song and dance acts, because of course that's a bit of ethnic culture that nobody minds. There we go. This is a bit of the old Ardouchar Market. It's actually much bigger than that. It runs all up the road there, and it's looking a little tatty for its age, but the point is it's a proper neighbourhood. And it was crammed with people there when I was there, freezing cold as it was, doing their shopping. It was near Chinese New Year, so the schools were out, kids everywhere. A proper lived-in neighbourhood where, you know, the people had made to suit themselves. A couple of mosques. Again, not that big and impressive, but they clearly did the job. And this is what's gone up straight opposite the road, and you can tell that the old stuff, well, especially as a lot of the protests were there, it might even be gone by the time I get back there next January, which would make me very sad. The International Xinjiang Grand Bazaar. The pyramid is not as random as it looks. There are pyramids in the Xinjiang Festival, so they haven't completely freaked out on that one. Chinese tourist posing for her photo. You might think that's a mosque. It's not. It's an indoor market. I bought a nice carpet there. You can't quite see it, but KFC and Carrefour are down here. And the rents are high in the indoor market, so although you've got people selling all the dried fruit and the spices like you have over the road, the locals aren't shopping there because they can't afford to. The place was virtually deserted in January. Admittedly, January is a bleak time to go to Routledge, but it was really very soulless over there. But a huge urban space had been cleared for the sake of this, and all the authentic stuff is getting squeezed and hemmed in. And as I say, well, within a couple of years, I think it will be totally gone. And when you say take them to the Ardouchar Market, you'll get sent directed to that. Which I think is very sad, you know, for an old Silk Road town. There should be some signs of what used to be left around. Right, this is another, my final point about it being colonial. I call them Han Chinese residents, sometimes I call them settlers. I think settlers catches that whole, the way the imperial relationship works, I think. Because if you look at historically at empires, having an empire, especially if it's a long way from metropolitan power, is actually very expensive and difficult to maintain. Countries as a whole did not make money out of colonialism. Settlers made money out of colonialism in most cases. If there was profit being made, that's where it was going. And often settlers, they're there for a long time, they know more about the local area, they get vested interest after, you know, a long period of time. So they can end up dictating policy within the region. And this is what I think has happened this summer. I think Han Chinese residents are now, have got the government chasing after their every demand, and legitimate Uyghur grievances are getting ignored because of it, and I don't see it changing, sadly, anytime soon, because all the response to the unrest has been about trying to appease Han Chinese fear and anger. The head of the opposition party is gone. The head of the Xinjiang police is gone. Maybe he was responsible for text messages, in which case, good, I approve of that. Wang Lechuan's still there, nobody likes him, the local Chinese population. Wanted him to go, in fact some of them were chanting for his execution in the September protest. They really didn't think very much of him at all, and neither do the Uyghurs. So, Han residents said they're demanding protection, so they crack down on Uyghur neighbourhoods, they ignore those grievances, they create war, aggravate the whole situation. And you end up with this very, very nasty ethnic divide and just a worsening situation. Even if, let's suppose, it suited the government in Beijing to give more cultural and religious autonomy to Xinjiang and to start withdrawing a little bit and letting it run more of its own affairs. They couldn't actually, because protecting the interests and safety of those Han Chinese residents will keep the army engaged there more or less forever. Or putting out will be the same kind of mess Algeria was for France. I think that's probably a good comparison. Settler interests are always very strong in the French Empire, Vietnam, Algeria. It ends badly, trust me on this, even if you do try and pull out. Right, the backlash in 2009, then earlier this year, blaming Rebecca, I'd say no sensible Chinese observers, including my colleagues here and the officials they spoke to, in Xinjiang, nobody believes this. She was just convenient. Rebecca, you probably know her background. She was absolutely the poster woman for what Uyghur people were supposed to do with the economic opportunities China brought. She was the richest woman in Xinjiang, just before she fell from grace. She was a businesswoman who built an empire in sort of sewing and textiles, and she was supposed to be this great role model for Uyghur women especially. But she got into trouble over various things, mainly she sent newspaper clippings about Uyghur unrest to her husband, who was then living in the United States. Many of you will know that local papers in China are an internal source, they're labelled, and if you send them abroad to anybody, that is actually legal. I mean, me and my colleagues, we do this all the time because it's our research material, so it's probably the law I break most often, actually. I just said it on video, didn't I? I knew this would happen. Never mind. We'll just pass over that, okay, it didn't happen. Back to Rebecca Deer. And she went to jail for, didn't serve the whole sentence, but she was released on condition of going into exile in the United States, which is something the PRC likes to do with high-profile dissidents now. It's very smart, actually, to get them out of the prison system altogether, because, you know, they might die in there, they're not very healthy in the environment. Get them out abroad, and usually they're no trouble after that. At least you can't really influence things back home. This is the whole point of exile, it's so that they can't influence things back home. And then suddenly she's arranged this entire uprising. And the evidence, as far as I can see, is one mobile phone conversation with a relative in which she was talking about the Shaoguan incidents, and she says, I'm afraid something's going to happen in a room she didn't know. Let me give you an analogy, if I may. If I'm at a football match, and right near the end, a goal is disallowed, and the two sets of fans hate each other anyway, and it's very obviously a referee mistake or corruption, and I look around and I say to my friends, I think there's going to be trouble here. Did I start it? No. But I could see it was going to happen. This seems to be the whole evidence they have that Rebecca Deer started this unrest, and it's clearly nonsense, I would suggest. And they've done some really petty stuff. On that bus ride down to the Ardachar market, you go past the Rebecca Deer Centre for Uyghur women's business. And they rent space in there, small spaces for Uyghur women to start their own small businesses. You know, a gesture, more than a gesture really in the direction of economic empowerment, especially of women. Really important thing to do. They've shut it and demolished it, basically because it had her name on it. And that was the only reason. They said the building was unsafe, but you were perfectly fine when I drove past it sometimes in January. Collective punishment. Cutting off this internet and mobile phones affects everybody, whatever they did or didn't do.